morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 4 and episode number 483 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah! Today, recording day is Thursday, October 3rd, 2024, and it's a chilly day here at the Beaver Lodge. I was outside a little bit this morning and I definitely needed a jacket and was wearing shorts and could definitely feel it on my skin. It's a cool morning. It's a cool morning. Well, it is October after all. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast's founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. And it looks sunnier in the nation's capital than it looks like it's going to be here right now.
Yeah, it's sunny, but it's not very warm. I think it's chilly.
Yes, it is.
It's a chilly morn.
We've been away live shows for the last 2 days, so hopefully you enjoyed our interviews with Dave Gray and Tim Krutzman over the past few days. They live in Alberta and British Columbia, respectively, so we felt it wasn't very kind to ask them to wake up at 5 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very
So
nice.
we accommodated, but we're back, and I missed you, like a lot. So it's lovely to see the kits. So let's take a little moment to say hello. Good morning, Kit Elaine, Kit Mr. Jim, Kit Vim, Kit PNC Bio. So lovely to see you, Kit Moan, and hello to all the family there as well. Who else do we have with us joining this morning? We have Kit Cassie. Hello, my dear. And hello, Cowboy. Hopefully you're listening somewhere. Kit Linda M and Mr. Linda. Kit Saucy, hello. Kit Jen, hello, my love. Kit Mike H, lovely to see you. Kit Frankie, my friend, lovely to see you. Thank you so much. Kit Elaine, we missed you. Thank you. And some nice compliments from the kits. Excellent interviews. You guys have become interview masters. We got a lovely compliment from Kit Hugh on our Truth and Reconciliation Day as well show. So thank you so much. We did not get unanimously positive comments about our interview with Mr. Gray. We had some other listeners saying that we generally have a style that does, go from subject to subject, that type of thing, but it was maybe a little too disjointed or something. I don't have the quote in front of me right now, but for their taste and potentially a missed opportunity. And I asked for more input, but then the wonderful Kit was providing very constructive criticism, so we were welcoming it. Decided that it was maybe just a matter of taste. But if you are listening, I believe, Kit Natasha, we really do want to hear from you and are interested in your opinion. So if you want to share it, our DMs are open, and we're always willing to learn. All right. But we did get some good comments. People really appreciated Mr. Gray. And yes, we will be having him back at some point because he's just delightful. So, and funny and very informative as well. So to be all three at the same time is a bit like what they call a diamond in the rough. So we will take that very, very gladly. Before we go ahead with anything else, Mr. Grizzly, how is your mental health today, sir?
Good question. I'm looking at the sunshine. Definitely helps lift my spirits. The last 2 days, I've basically been in a bit of a funk. I hadn't been feeling great. My head was not in the game. I had a lot of work to do, and I just couldn't do it. Now, Tuesday, I had a terrible migraine that kind of took out a good chunk of my day. And Wednesday, I woke up and I'm like, I looked at, you ever see a pile of work in front of you and go, okay, here's how we're going to tackle it. I saw what is technically an anthill, but a molehill, and it looked like a mountain to me. So I just said, no, I'm pushing everything aside until Thursday. Figured if we had 2 pre-tape shows. So I thought, well, I can sleep in a little bit. I can get a little bit of extra work done. Couldn't get any work done, so I just said, screw it. I'm taking 2 days off in the middle of the week, and I'll be back at it today and tomorrow, and probably through the weekend as well. So, yeah, my mental health was waning. I don't know over the last 2 days. I think yesterday definitely had to do with the weather. Lola didn't even want to get out of bed. So,
Ooh, okay.
yeah, we sat around on the couch, and by 10:30, I'm like, okay, I should probably take you outside now. And she was just sitting there sleeping. I'm like, you want to go out? Normally she's, and it was kind of like, okay, if we have to. So
Oh no.
I think my mental health rubbed off on her, which
Yeah, I hear that. Also, good morning to you, Kit Miss and Kit Angela. I saw you sneak in there, so hello. Yeah, I had a day like that. I think it was Monday as well. Actually, it was just a day where a lot of people I care about were going through some tougher stuff. And I like to help, so I'm often a sounding board or an ear but Monday was heavy. Monday was heavy, and then by 6:30 in the afternoon or evening, I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm done. I would like to go to bed now." But it was too early. But I was in bed like 9:30 that day. It was just like, yeah, I've given too much at the office today. This day's over. I just need some sleep now. It's some alone time. So I wasn't in a bad mood, but just like, oh,
just not
so
a good mood.
well, let's just say that when the final person I talked to that day came to me with an issue that they had, um, I was a good friend, but I wasn't as present as I probably should have been because there was a lot of talk in my head going, "Oh my God, not more drama." I can't today. I've given enough. So I maybe wasn't at my best. Or the best listening or the best advice for the last person to whom I talked on that day. But after talking to the last person, I realized I had hit my limit, and it's like, no more problems today. No, hold it, keep it till tomorrow.
I understand that all too well.
My brain is full. My empathy tank is empty. I need to plug myself in the wall and recharge a bit. But everybody, and you know me, I share about that type of stuff. So without giving like too much details, just sort of like it's heavy. And of course, a lot of people came in with some sunshine and some support and that type of stuff, which always makes me feel really, really, really good. It's interesting because a lot of it is, of course, online, right? And a lot of these people are people I have not met in real life. Now, some of them are people with whom I've had interactions with for like 3-4 years. So I mean, it's kind of weird to have internet friends, right? Some of them whose face you might not even have ever seen, but you just have a track record of interaction after a while. And Yes, it's not the same as getting a hug in person,
No, but
but it actually does help.
no, it does
It
help.
actually does help.
Genuinely, yeah.
You know, it's not it's not everything that you need, but often it can be enough enough
Mhm.
to get through the moment. So it's a weird dynamic in internet friendships. I have to say, um, some of them seem as solid as actual real life friendships, even though you've never actually met or sometimes even um, seen each other's face. But there are people online every now and then. It's like, you haven't seen them for a couple of weeks. Hey, where did they go? So it's and then you see them. It's like, oh, I haven't you know your name hasn't flashed across my screen in about a week. It's so nice to see you again. Good.
Mhm.
So it's interesting how you just by exchanging some words, zeros and ones with other people, that you can actually grow to care about people.
It's true, and well, I mean, that's we met online,
Yep.
and we'd been chatting for a year before we met in person,
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
something like that, if not longer. I can't remember exactly. So,
Hmm.
it's I have definitely created friendships, virtual, that became real when people
Hmm.
I've had a chance to meet in
Yep.
person, and there have been times when I've encountered individuals online when I've been going through a rough patch, and they're like, hey, we're here for you if you need anything, and you get sort of my hive mind community that just rallies around you when you're in a dark place, and it's surprising how much, even though you're not encountering that in first person face to face, it still can help lift you up and make you feel better. So I know exactly what you're talking about. And well, I mean, that's the point of my ASMR, is to try and create community and rally people around, if you're feeling down, let me help pull you up,
Hmm. Yeah. So to everyone who reached out, thank you so very much. And then another little personal thing on Monday, I played some tennis, um, and apparently I was doing something that you should never do.
What's
That I
that?
didn't know you should never do. You should not run backwards
Why would you, why would you do that?
because something was lobbing over my head.
Oh, okay.
So instead of sort of turning a bit sideways and taking a run, then trying to turn forward again, I was sort of like following the ball in the air and running backwards. And somehow I tripped and I fell and I landed very, 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 very hard
Mm.
uh, on the outside of my right butt cheek. Like very hard skater landing from a botched triple axel right onto the ice hard.
Oof.
And I thought for sure, I mean, I could feel all the muscles sort of like seize in one spot, and I was rubbing it and stretching it so that I could like finish the game, which I was able to do. And I'm thinking, ooh, I am going to have a big, big, big bruise there.
Hmm. Hmm.
No bruise. I don't bruise very
What?
easily to start with, but nothing, not even a bone bruise. I don't know if I just landed on the soft, cushy, super meaty part,
That
but
should still bruise, though. I mean, come on. That's
no,
wow.
nothing. I went to the physiotherapist 2 days after, like, because I was feeling, like, seized there to
Hmm. Hmm.
get stuff unlocked, and if it was a bone bruise with, like, as hard because he was doing deep tissue, I would've, like, screamed like crazy. It was uncomfortable and but it wasn't, so I didn't even have a bone bruise,
Wow. That's weird.
but I I would have bet money. Like, I had friends because they know how I don't. I tend to clot very quickly.
Mhm.
Like sometimes there have been some medical procedures where they've like done stuff like this, and okay, that where's the spot I just marked? Did you? So I
You're
tend to
Wolverine is what you're saying? You're Wolverine?
somewhat like this, were the cheerleader from Heroes or something, right? Save the cheerleader, save the world. But she,
Sorry,
jump
that's
on.
funny.
I I know. It's really weird. So it's like I have a friend of mine in
You're
Texas.
Deadpool then.
Yes, I have a friend of mine in Texas that was like, send pictures because like this person knows, like they've seen me like run into things and like this. Like, really not bruised? Just like send pictures because I've never seen it. And I was like, I had the camera ready and everything. I was gonna wake up the next morning and like pull the shorts down the side and show a little hip and take some pic. Nothing.
Well, yeah, maybe you should see a doctor about that.
I don't know what.
Hey, Doc, I don't know what's happening, but let's figure it out and replicate this for millions of people.
Yeah, I don't remember ever falling that hard because it's like there's walking and falling,
Mhm.
but I had momentum,
Oh, I've had
and
plenty of
it's like,
those.
whoa, right? And nope, nothing.
I've had plenty of those. Ball hockey,
Yep.
goalie and ball hockey. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had the very first time I went downhill skiing. I went with a friend, and we were just doing bunny hills and whatnot like this. And he fell. He went down one the
Mhm.
main hill once or twice, but we were in British Columbia. Oh God, I can't remember where off the top of my head. Close to Radium Springs, but
Mhm.
but on the Alberta, yeah, but just on the British Columbia side of Alberta.
Yep.
And at the end of the first day, like he was like just bruised all over,
Mhm.
like that huge big ones, and it's like I was perfectly fine. So I don't know what he did to get, but when I saw that and I saw that was possible, I thought, okay, I'm gonna get one of those.
It didn't
Nope,
happen.
nothing. So,
Mm.
hey, I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just
Count
really
yourself lucky.
surprised. Yeah.
I
All
have
right.
something for you, sir, that I think you'll get a kick out of. We'll start this.
Yes.
25 seconds. Just 25 seconds, but it's going to make you chuckle.
Every year, thousands of conservative alpha males experience erectile dysfunction. Nothing makes you question your manliness more than a floppy ding-dong. Well, with Power PP, you no longer have to live with the shame of being a failed man. Now your tent pole can stand proud, Canadian, and unflapped by cold wind.
Oh, I was. I saw. Okay, first of all, whoever did that, genius.
Yeah.
Number two, though, I saw it yesterday and I was thinking, I'm not. Like it's super funny, but as I was thinking, I'm not sure I'm not sure if I'm gonna bring that one into the show because not that we're against stuff that's juvenile, but it's a little juvenile.
It is juvenile, but it did make me chuckle, and I thought we could start the show off with a larf, a bit of a larf.
But
Because it's not a full laugh, it's a larf. There's
it's
a
a lark.
difference there, right?
But the walking in the field, the raising of the flagpole are kind of, and Anida looks so happy.
Mhm. So,
That's all I will say. The images work very well for
Oh,
that type of
incredibly well.
commercial. Let's put it
Incredibly
that
well,
way.
yeah.
Oh my. Okay, kits and cubs. Since we've been away for 2 days, a little bit of a recap. You sent me something, Mr. Grizzly, that I think
Yeah.
we should start off with. Monday was National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and overall, a good day
For the most part.
for the most part. No, but for the most part,
Mhm.
uh, the crap online was there, but it did not seem as abundant as it has been in past years, which is good. It's still not good that it's there, though. All the ceremonies seemed to take place without a hitch. That's very good as well. But Dougald Lamont, who I believe was the leader of the Alberta Liberal Party until the last election,
Mhm.
and had resigned on that night, posted something that's really interesting. I do believe, I'm not sure if Dougald Lamont actually has a law background, if I'm not mistaken, but I'll look that up to get back to you. But Mr. Grizzly, if you would read it, please. Now it's in response to someone named Drew Hayden Taylor who wrote, "Wow, I'm stunned. I've been getting lots of criticisms regarding Orange Shirt Day, residential school graves, saying I'm perpetuating a lie to make white people feel guilty. They ask, where are the bodies? These people don't understand. The whole country is an Indian burial ground." Okay, number one on that for me. White people, the day's not about you
Exactly.
to make you feel good or guilty.
It's never been about us.
Not about you. Your feelings about what's going on that day, I don't want to say are irrelevant, but they are not material to the day and they are not the objective of the day. They are not. The only objective that day has that concerns you is with regard to education. And hopefully, in your own time, when you're ready, becoming an ally at some point. Other than that, it's not about you. That's why we say it's a day for listening. So it's not the day to step out at the mic and say, "Hey, I'm feeling stuff today."
No.
You can save your feelings because it's not
about you.
And
Well, this is the thing,
two,
white people, there's a certain segment of the population of white people that are convinced everything has always got to be about them,
yes.
no matter what.
Number two, where are the bodies?
Yeah.
It's not show and tell.
No.
It's not show and tell, and you also don't get to control the process. And we are not looking for the bodies, if bodies there are, to please and satisfy you. It's not like somebody's going to find a body and then tuck it under its arm and run to the end zone and spike it and go, "Ha, see?"
Yeah. It's not.
We're talking about unmarked graves, potentially, which means that the process is not led by you. It's led by the people who are most affected, and they will do it in their own way, in their own time, according to cultural norms that are relevant for them and according to their tradition. You don't get to set the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
If bodies there are, eventually, when the time is right, we will know of them.
Yeah.
National
It's not about us.
on Truth and Reconciliation, and it has confirmed that there are at least 4,100 by now.
Mm-hmm.
Children that did not come home. The bodies went somewhere, number one. Number two, how many schools do you know are supposed to have grave sites?
I don't know of any.
Okay, so, and then, so just like, y'all need to calm down.
Well,
and know your place here.
I'll read this long tweet from Dougald Lamont. He was, he calls himself, he says, writer, liberal, centrist. And this is interesting. I like this. It takes an extremist to call a centrist a communist. I like that. I like that. So this is what he has to say. When did he tweet this out? Let me see. This was yesterday, I guess, in response to the tweet you read earlier. So here's what he has to say. There's a major push to minimize the deaths at residential schools by a network of far-right propaganda outlets and prominent think tanks, including the Fraser Institute, the Frontier Center, and the Dorchester Review, which use the word hoax. The people involved include Stephen Harper's former chief of staff, Tom Flanagan, Jason Kenney's former advisor, Chris Champion. When it comes to these think tanks, these are organizations that are continually quoted by politicians and the media. Their reports routinely make the news, despite the fact that whether it's taxes, freedom, or history. First, these are not independent or unbiased reports. They are politically motivated. Not only are the think tanks not independent, they are captured by their donors. That is the reason they exist, as a public relations machine for their clients. They are exactly the kind of organization that sold Big Tobacco's message that smoking was fine, even when they knew it caused cancer. They do it for oil, for chemical plants. To elect people who will change the law to favor their financial interest and will accept foreign donations for that purpose. And to be clear, this is not just a political disagreement or clash of values. The quality of the reports is shite. They don't follow basic rules of evidence, reasoning that would bring it into the level of being useful or accurate knowledge in any academic setting. And it's important to say, being an economist is not like being a doctor or a scientist or a lawyer, where there are actual professional standards, including standards of evidence. It's not a science. And yet, these think tanks are treated as authorities and referenced by the media and politicians as if their reports are a reflection of independent research findings when they may be the direct result of a partnership. The fact that these think tanks are sowing doubt about the idea that residential schools were harmful is given more credence by the fact that the Fraser Institute is cited all the time in the media. Fraser Institute experts aren't challenged about it. We are being misled about history, about taxes, about the impact of different policies in ways that are driving political debate, not for the public benefit, but for an incredibly narrow private benefit with huge public costs. There's a word for it: agnotology, the study of deliberate, culturally induced ignorance or doubt, typically to sell a product, influence opinion, or win favor, particularly through the publication of inaccurate or misleading scientific data. There's so much that is truly horrible about it, which is that if they actually read the Truth and Reconciliation report, they'd see it all spelled out. The other is that we're arguing about history, while the last 50 plus years of CFS, where the number of children taken from Indigenous families and communities is far more than were in residential schools. That happened in the last 10 years. The province of Manitoba's CFS system is the biggest residential school of all time. Over 10,000 children, some being trafficked, some dying, many winding up homeless or targeted by predators. Thousands more across the country, and the provincial governments took the federal allowances intended for those kids. The more kids they took in, the more the federal allowance went up, the more revenue the provinces got. The province was seizing a newborn baby a day for years on end. If the CFS agency tried to give the money to the foster family, the province would claw it back. For years, Manitoba only stopped taking the money in 2019. Let me reread that again because I put the wrong emphasis on there. If the CFS agency tried to give the money to the foster family, the province would claw it back. For years. Manitoba only stopped taking the money in 2019, and they kept all the money they took, over $330 million for First Nations. They had to sue to get it back. People keep talking about the harms of the past when the present is an open wound. More than half the people who were homeless on the streets of Winnipeg were in CFS. Hundreds of them. Absolutely no one wants to talk about it because no one wants to take responsibility for it. That's pretty heavy.
Mm-hmm. It is. Now, if you were online at all, probably the most viewed representation of this type of denialism, other than Harrison Faulkner's tweets, was this guy, Jim McMurtry.
What a piece of shit.
Yes, who actually went into a Tim Hortons because they had an orange donut for the day. Yeah. Actually posed with himself holding a donut while wearing a T-shirt that says...
An orange T-shirt, by the way.
An orange T-shirt, yes. On which it is written, "Where are the bodies?" Had I been working there, I would have found it very, 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 very difficult to do my job in that moment.
Oh, I would have
to actually serve him a donut.
I wouldn't have served him. I would have said, just get out.
And then, of course, other lovely tweets from him, such as land acknowledgement of the University of Toronto refers to, quote, Turtle Island. Canada was apparently formed when a mythical Ojibwe figure named Nana Buzo, or in another version, Sky Woman, put a piece of earth on a turtle's back. The Big Bang Theory has been replaced by big nonsense. Nobody said it was a replacement. We have our origin story and you have yours. But apparently he feels that this is the one we should all, rather than saying, oh, that's your origin story. Okay, cool. It's like, I think he believes that we all have to accept that this is all of our
Yeah.
origin story now, under penalty of something.
Let me guess. In his bio, he's a Christian. Does he have that in his bio?
I would assume. But did we read his tweet when he showed the picture? When we were showing the picture? Was what he said for the people listening? I'm not sure we did. He wrote, I got a lot of threats yesterday, not because I drew a picture of Muhammad or used the wrong pronoun, but for wearing the shirt. The woke are the equivalent of a medieval mob with pitchforks out in the street looking for someone to burn. I hope you had a happy orange shirt day.
So let me see if I get this correct.
We're not looking for someone to burn. You literally walked out through the streets of the village with a T-shirt saying, I'm a heretic.
Yeah.
Back in the days where heretics had stuff done to them or were ostracized by society. Like you walked out on the street in the 1700s with a scarlet letter around your neck. You're proudly walking down the street with a T-shirt. I'm a bigot. It's like when I went to the restaurant the other day and I saw this guy with a T-shirt saying there are only two genders, and it took me everything to not throw my takeout at the back of his head. It's like you're walking out on the street with that T-shirt on. You're clearly doing it to intimidate people. Come in like this. You're trying to provoke people. It's like, come up and talk to me. Come and step to me. See what happens.
People like him bring attention to themselves and then cry about it. You're infringing on my free speech. Okay, again, it's a freedom of expression. You expressed yourself, but here's the thing: it's not consequence-free. It's never been consequence-free. Nobody is stopping you from saying terrible things. You said them. You did them. And then you got mad when people said you shouldn't do that. That's called consequences. We don't live in a consequence-free society. Thank goodness we don't.
Was it Big Red Sea? I want to be consequence-free.
Yes.
Or something.
Great Big Sea. Not Big Red Sea, Great Big Sea.
These people.
Big Red Sea would be a good name for a band, though. I think it should be a lesbian punk band. Big Red Sea. Big Red Wave, the Crimson Wave. Hey, tell me if I'm wrong. If I've offended anybody, but Big Red Sea, yeah, I think that'd be a good name for a all-female lesbian punk band. Well, it would have to be all-female lesbians, but you know what I mean.
Yes. So, Kits and Cubs, if you are listening to us and you happen to be from the Indigenous community, I'm sure you know this information, but in case you don't have it handy, if this type of content is getting to you, right? The National Indian Residential School Crisis Line provides 24-hour crisis to support former Indian residential school students and their families. Toll free at 1-866-925-4419. That's 1-866-925-4419. Individuals impacted by the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls and two-spirited people are encouraged to contact the MMIWG crisis line toll free at 1-844-413-6649. That's 1-844-413-6649. And thank you, Mr. Grizzly, for putting them up there in the chat. And First Nations and Inuit and Métis seeking immediate emotional support can contact the Hope for Wellness helpline, toll free at 1-855-242-3310. That's 1-855-242-3310, or by online chat at hopeforwellness.ca. It's hopeforwellness.ca. Please reach out.
Yeah, if you need to reach out, please do so.
Please do. Very, very important, and I'm glad those services are there. And I apologize for not having read them into the show on Monday itself. Kits and Cubs. All right.
And this is a great comment from Vim. Look at how long they've been milking blackface. Meanwhile, half of them probably did the same thing. It's not right, but they're such hypocrites.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And the other day, somebody put that out and it's like, how many times has your prime minister done blackface? It's like, way fewer times than you've tweeted about it, I'm sure.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Anyway. It's like, these people. The other big-ish news yesterday is that Pierre Potato and all of his buddies held another confidence vote. And like the previous one, it failed as well. So similar proportions, I think, if I believe, from the first one, unless there were a couple of people just not available on both days. But yes, the opposition motion, confidence in the government, failed 207 nays to 127 yays. To 121 yays, sorry. So it's the exact same number of votes on the yay side. So nobody has switched allegiances in the last 2 days. So now that's 2 confidence motions down out of the 5 that the Conservatives have in their bank. I don't know if they're going to. We didn't hear about immediately after this one that there will be one introduced immediately. So maybe they'll take 2-3 days and actually go and touch grass before they bring it up again.
Mm-hmm.
So that happened. But on the other side, on the confidence issue, and this is a bit of a plot twist, the
Yes.
Bloc Québécois wanting to add additional pressure onto the governing Liberals for their plan to have OAS payments topped up an extra 10% for those of us who are 65 to 74-year-olds, because that had been done to the 75-plus-year-olds. And the reason for the government is saying, well, when you get 75, you've depleted a lot of your retirement savings and may need the extra help, whereas 65 to 74, well, you've just started, so you don't need the help right away. The Bloc Québécois wants this spent on seniors. It's about $16 billion over 5 years, so $3 to $3.5 billion a year, which is a lot of money.
Yes.
Now, not saying that it's not worth spending it on our seniors, but it is a lot of money. So the vote on that one was very interesting.
It was.
The Bloc motion passed, 181 votes to 143, but it was curious how that happened, because in order to accomplish that, the Bloc got 5 Liberals to vote with them, and the NDP and the Independents and the Green, 3 of the Independents, of the 4 Independents, 2 Greens voted with them. The Bloc Québécois voted for it, but 142 Liberals voted against the motion. So that's a bit of a plot twist, because I thought for sure that they would go ahead with it, because they were kind of in a corner.
Mm-hmm.
But it would seem, now I don't know because I haven't heard any interviews after this, it would seem that the Liberals have decided to zig when the Conservatives expected them to zag, and so the same for the Conservatives, because the vote is curious for the Conservatives on a consistency basis, because they're the ones that keep on claiming, well, we don't believe in costly government social programs, and the OAS, Old Age Security, is a costly government program. They've been complaining up and down about Trudeau's reckless deficitary spending that's causing inflation and sending everybody to the it's the carbon tax that's sending everybody to the food banks. So I don't know what's happening with the inflation thing, but making life so unaffordable. Yet they just said, hey, just throw in an extra $3.5 billion a year to top up the incomes of a lot of people who actually may not really need it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is something I'm reading here. It says, this is from Kristen Raworth, Polyev and CPC voting in favor of increasing payments to seniors 65 and up at a huge cost to taxpayers and to the detriment of the younger Canadians, who are a big part of his rise in the polls, will hurt him come election time.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other curious thing, is that all data appears to be pointing that if there are people that need help right now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of course, I wish Kyle was here, because I actually don't know what the word would be to use, like if we don't want to use the word disability. And I know that not everybody in the disability community agrees with that. A lot of
Mhm.
people are fine with it. But if you don't say the disability community, what do you say? Because I'm able to find different words. I'm able to say, differently abled at certain time, and people,
We just don't want to harm anybody.
people living with different abilities or something, so I can find words, but I don't actually know what an umbrella term would be used, if not disability community, to refer to the community. So if anybody would like to help me with that, I would be grateful. But with the exception of that community, of course, Indigenous Canadians, single Canadians, because they don't have two people splitting rent or mortgage or cost of food. They don't get the economies of scale that come when you buy for 4 people or 2 people versus 1.
Mhm.
So single people and young people, 18 to 34.
Well,
The
and I'm
student
reading.
loans, who are having trouble finding jobs a little bit, and
Mhm.
increasing as the unemployment rate has gone on. We're having trouble saving for a house. They're the ones that are thinking like, there's no future. They're the ones that would need help more. If you were going to target if you had $3.5 billion per year of help, is the group, the demographic that seems to be needing it more, for whom it would do the most good right now, are younger Canadians and single Canadians. Now, Liberals are already popular with older Canadians, which is a little counterintuitive, because that's usually the Conservative vote. And the Conservatives are really popular with younger Canadians right now, because they've been promising that they'll do all stuff for them.
They're not
But when
gonna
the
do
first
anything.
opportunity comes to hand out $3.5 billion, the Conservatives say, no, let's give it to the people who are 65 to 74, many of whom have RSPs and savings and whatnot, and we'll just start cashing it
Home
in
equity.
like this, and have home equity, their mortgages maybe even completely paid off.
Not everybody.
Not
Not
everybody.
everyone, of course, but there is a large swath of the boomer population that doesn't really need
Well,
this.
listen, it's been easily, like, for about 15, 20 years, we've been saying it like this. When comes to giving people a minimum income, which the guaranteed income supplement on top of
Mhm.
the old age security, but when it comes to having a minimum type of income to live by, seniors in Canada have been the group that have had the most done for them, and that
Yeah.
are in the best situation statistically. Again, not each individual senior, but as a group. So
Well, and
it seems to me here that the Liberals might be, because they haven't announced what they're going to do, but if the Liberals are planning to come up with s- a suite of offerings
Mhm.
for the people who are 18 to 34 single Canadians, like maybe just a direct income tax cut for a group based on age or based on salary, low, or, you know, if you're uh, you know, they ask how many people in the household. So if there's
Mhm, mhm.
I don't know how they track it down, but at least they're going to target it that way, because that might be coming. The other option that the Liberals might be looking for, if they do want to shore up the seniors file, um, is to not act on the OAS, but to act on the GIS, which goes to the seniors that have the least. They get the guaranteed income supplement because their income is below that threshold, so they get a top up. So increasing the GIS could achieve that. That would make it hard for the Bloc to then kind of say, "Oh, you don't want to do anything for seniors." Well, we do. We just want to do it for the poorest. This
Mhm.
government, we tend to income
Yes.
test everything. So because GIS is a natural embedded income test to GIS and OAS. So they could direct that, or they couldn't actually have an announcement coming for some money being directed for something to help younger Canadians and single Canadians, the ones that are having trouble entering life after having graduated from post-secondary, if they have, or if they haven't gone to post-secondary, I guess, or a trade school, if they've just gone into life, the workforce immediately after high school, they're having the toughest times.
Well, this comment here from Tavi G, privatized long-term care is killing the seniors. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
You know what else it's doing, though? Robbing them of their wealth.
Yep.
Robbing them of their wealth because they're charging, I think an affordable one in long-term private care is like $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month. I mean, good God. That's, while their food is taken care of. Yeah, but that's a cheap one. I've seen some that are $9,000 a month.
Mm.
So instead of being able to take that wealth and pass it on to their children, it's going into the pockets of the wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
So people who want to buy their first home and would do so with the help of their parents, it's just not happening in a lot of cases because their parents are in a long-term care or retirement home, as they call them now. Old age home is what we used to call them. And that wealth is getting robbed. Now, here's an interesting comment from a gentleman in Alberta, Andrew Friesen, Friesen. So I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Friesen. He describes himself as a father, husband, digital transformation, data science, enthusiast of travel, data, cars, and politics, unenthused about right-wing populism, far center views. For Albertans, this policy would be a massive wealth transfer as we have both fewer seniors overall and a lower percentage qualifying for OAS. Over the first 5 years, a net $2.5 billion would leave the province based on this policy. Waiting for invocation of the Sovereignty Act. I don't know what he means by that, but interesting. Very interesting. Oh, he says he was being sarcastic about the Sovereignty Act comment, and it doesn't always come across in typewritten text, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting. The first 5 years, a net $2.5 billion will leave the province. Wow, I can't speak this morning. I don't know what's going on with me. It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. What's happening here. I don't know entirely what to make of it, like what's going to become of it. It's interesting in the sense that it was supported by the CPC, which their base is younger radical thinkers, so they're cutting off their nose to spite their face. Like I don't get what their strategy is here. Or maybe it was, if the Liberals are voting against it, we have to vote for it. Which I think might very well just be the case. Anything the Liberals vote for, we have to vote against. What are we voting for? Don't know, but they voted yes, we're voting no. They voted no, we're voting yes. Barking seals. Tell me if I'm wrong on that one. But I mean, he's everything that has indicated Poilievre's policy is that he will do the exact opposite of everything the Liberal government has done. The government of Canada, the Liberals, the federal Liberals, he said he will do everything the exact opposite. He's quoted as saying this and not more than once. He's done it a few times. So it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It says young voters should probably pay attention to this.
You think?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Interesting comment. He says, okay, let's 100% pay for it with capital gains on housing occupied for more than 5 years. Time for someone besides millennials to pick up the tab. Hey, hi, millennials. Gen X over here. We pay for shit too. We're just asking to be recognized once in a while. You know what? Forget about it. I don't even care. I don't care. I'm used to being ignored.
Don't mind me. I'll just go here and sit in my corner being ignored.
Yeah.
As usual.
We'll just go and be ignored again. We don't care.
No.
Our feelings aren't hurt. We don't have any anymore.
No. I'm comfy here. No, I don't need anything. No, I'll just sit here all alone in the dark and slowly go blind. It's just throw in a little guilt there. All right.
Interesting headline from CTV Edmonton. New district policy plans, including 15-minute cities concept, okayed by Edmonton City Council. Now, that is just a clickbait headline.
Yeah.
That's all that is. It's to get the people. 15-minute cities are. Oh, shut up.
Right.
I live in a 15-minute city.
Yes. Now, I have another thing. It's a precision on us because if you tuned in to watch our vice presidential debate special, we were talking about Representative Jack Kimball.
Yes.
Because he had put out a tweet, and I said it was like a fake tweet, and you were saying that's no. It was a real tweet, so you were right on that. It's just that Representative Jack Kimball does not exist. It's a parody account.
Oh.
That's why. So I knew there was something with the tweet.
So it was okay. Well, there's a general correction there. It was a real tweet.
It was a real tweet,
but he's not a real person. Okay.
Not a real person. But
because I'd never heard of the guy before.
But a lot of people got fooled because this is like a comedian Hal Sparks. If you watch the TV show Queer as Folk, the Canadian, the North American version, he was on that, and he's a stand-up comedian. He goes, and the winner of the dumbest motherfucker in the world goes to, and he's retweeting Representative Jack Kimball, which is a parody account. But Jack Kimball said, "Mr. Grizzly, if you would."
I haven't seen much coverage of last night's vice president. Is that the one you wanted me to read? The top
one? Actually, I can't click the show more, however, because it's a screen cap. So,
okay.
But
I haven't really. But which one do you want me to read? Just tell me.
Just sort of start with the first one. And
okay. I haven't seen much coverage of last night's vice presidential debate in the liberal media. That doesn't really surprise me, as J.D. Vance absolutely destroyed Walz. I don't see how voters can vote for the Democrats after that debacle, despite the biased moderators trying to help. And then it continues. Right. Sorry, I had an intern send this out at 7 a.m. instead of 7 p.m. I'll resend tonight. People who don't understand why I'm blaming my intern about sending out tonight's debate reaction early. The reason is, if it had been sent out at the proper time, it would not have seemed strange that I made those comments. They only seem weird now.
Because the debate hasn't started.
So yeah. That part, yeah.
So yeah, Jack Kimball is a parody account.
Well, it got me.
Oh yeah, he got a lot of people. But yeah, I just, it says here on his Twitter feed, Republican representing California's 51st district and co-sponsor of Poe's Law Detective Jesus #1, Thou Shall Not Kill, is out of Amazon. So, yeah. There's maybe a couple of hints in there. But that one was really, really well done. Absolutely well done. Because that has happened often enough. So clearly the release of the tweet before was intentional. And then I'm going to save this by blaming my assistant. Yeah. And it seems that Representative Jack Kimball is indeed very much approving of JD, because this one actually appeared after the debate.
Heavy on the eye makeup.
So proud of JD Vance's performance last night. I think this is our next VP. Yes, a little heavy. So for those who did tune in to watch it, a lot of people are saying, it was boring. It was, like a debate is supposed to be. Like debates were before Mango Madness slithered down that escalator and decided that he was going to be a constant, keyword constant, presence in all of our lives, whether we wanted him in them or not, for 10 years. Oh my God. Listen, I know that only the good die young, but if he doesn't win this one, please make something happen so that he doesn't try again in 2028. We can't do 4 more years of him in the background and on the sidelines going
Screaming about him.
like a little chihuahua.
Well, he'll be in prison.
Oh, God, I hope so. Speaking of Trump going to prison, something happened yesterday. Little tidbit of news. We might, Mr. Grizzly, have another reading to do, although it would be a little more ambitious if we were to do that. But yesterday, the big political news, bigger than a non-confidence motion, um, is that in the United States, Special Prosecutor Jack Smith um, had a big document drop yesterday. You will remember that a few months ago, we reported that the Supreme Court of the United States came up with its really weird decision to swallow itself whole on the Constitution, particularly the members of the Supreme Court who like to call themselves originalists because it seems that the original intent of the United States breaking away from Mother England to become the United States had something to do with not wanting to be ruled by a king.
Yes.
So if we're talking about originalists, it would be we are not ruled by kings, and then the 6 originalists on the Supreme Court, well, self-professed originalists on the Supreme Court of the United States, then decided, yeah, here's one precedent that we have no problem going way far back, right to like Origin Day, to reverse. And yeah, now we do have kings. So as a result of that, they had to send everything back down to federal court judge Tanya Chutkan to decide which of the Tangerine Tornadoes acts were official acts and which were not, in order to accomplish that. Now, Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, rather than amending his original filing, decided to drop an entirely new indictment from scratch, in which he removed all the things that could be called an official act, like, for example, Trump talking with people from the Department of Justice, specifically, and kept it all about the acts of a candidate and his running mate for presidency and vice presidency, and the actions and advice of his personal counsel. So he told the story in that way, rather than as a former president or a president trying to, but as a candidate.
Interesting.
Then, so as to not be accused of submitting now less damning evidence to an already tainted grand jury, Smith presented his new filing to an entirely new grand jury, completely independent in every way from the one that came before. There's nobody from the previous grand jury on this one. So these are all people that had not heard the information that the case was being made to the first time with the new case. So he cut off that avenue. Oh, you just went back to the same grand jury. Well, they were already tainted because they heard the worst stuff before. How could they remove that from their minds? Well, he solved that problem. He presented it to an entirely new grand jury, and it too decided that criminal charges were required. So if you are paying attention, this motherfucker, Trump, was indicted not by one, but 2 individual, distinct, separate grand juries for the same damn crimes. About 30 days before an election.
Yeah.
Way to go. So that's kind of then normally these types of filings are kept to about 45 pages, but Special Prosecutor Smith had to ask Judge Chutkan for special permission to submit one that would come in at around maybe about 180 pages in order to tell the full story of why certain acts are official and these ones that are in this indictment are not. That's a lot of criming.
Yeah, a little bit.
Bam! So, and of course, in order to do her job, she agreed because, well, after all, wasn't it the Supreme Court of the United States that sent that back to her and said, you need to do this? Oh, be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems that about half of those 180 pages, the document actually came in at 165, but about half of them are an appendix. So actually, like, images and replications of elements of proof so that the judge can see them herself. And then of about, let's say, the 80 pages or so that are detailing the events and how things transpired, about a third of those are footnotes that refer to other stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of stuff in the footnotes in particular that are redacted.
Well, I was reading something earlier about how Mike Roman apparently encouraged the rioting.
Yes.
Said, let them riot.
Yes.
Mike Roman, who was part of Stephen Harper's IDU, and he was in Ottawa during the occupation.
Mm-hmm. And a key player in Andrew Scheer's attempt to become prime minister as well. Journalists, if you actually download our show on podcasts, in the bottom where we have the democracy is something that you do section, we've had in there for several months. Write your MPs, your BPs, and your journalists to get them to asking about this guy, Mike Roman, and his relationship with them. This is why. Because this Mike Roman guy keeps on getting indicted. Because, that whole fake elector scheme? Well, it's not only being charged nationally, but it's being charged state-wise in every state where they had one of those things where they didn't put that little disclaimer that's saying, in case there is something, we are the electors, but rather than saying we actually are the electors. Well, in every state where they did that, he's either indicted or an unindicted co-conspirator at the moment. So he's going to be spending a lot of time in court.
Well, he was, like you said, make them riot on January 6th. He was the assistant chairman of the IDU at the time, and he was in Ottawa during the occupation, or the Freedom Convoy, if you want to call it that. He was an advisor to Scheer during his 2019 federal campaign. Scheer supported the convoyers and the LFS movement in 2018, 2019, and United Reroll. Tamara Lich was involved in all of that.
Yes.
So the layers of connections here, it's not a conspiracy theory.
And Mike Roman is one of those people that Stephen Harper made vanish from IDU website mentions quicker than he made the term climate change just to disappear from Government of Canada websites as soon as Mike was indicted.
Yeah, it was pretty...
Just like India disappeared as a member of the IDU soon after the charges were laid about the extrajudicial killing. Not the charge was said, not the plan for extrajudicial killings on American soil. Mr. Harper is very good at, nope, didn't happen.
No, that was never there. Actually, according to what I saw in the Wayback Machine from 2 freaking days ago, it was.
It's like Mr. Harper thinks, I think if he deletes stuff from the internet, it acts like that thing from Men in Black. You never saw that?
The internet is forever. You understand that, right?
We know, right? So it seems that Jack Smith submitted 2 documents to the judge, submitted the full thing so that the judge could read everything, and then one with proposed redactions for public release. Now, Judge Chutkan did ask Mango Madness's legal team to file any objections to the proposed redactions on the main portion of the filing. So this is the one detailing all the stuff that he did by October 1st, which was the date of the debate, at noon. So I'm sure that had Trumpy and Vance dropping some loaves prior to the debate, because I'm sure they all thought that the judge would probably drop this hours before the debate. But Judge Chutkan took a little page from Taylor Swift and said, well, rather than dropping it before the debate, why don't I just drop it the day after? Like Taylor Swift slid in with her endorsement a couple of hours after the debate, just to sort of like seal the deal. So, and Judge Tanya Chutkan, for those who have been following this, has been the one judge who has been making it very clear. It's like, excuse my language here, but bitch, I don't care that you're running for an election. This is my courthouse. This is my courtroom. And nothing that's going out there in the world is in any way relevant to my decision making. It's like, this court does not stop for your day job. So, and she don't care. But I'm running for president. Yeah, and and then she just keeps on going. So that's why people were wondering. It's like, ooh, she asked it for the first at noon. Will she release it by 4:30? She just look at that, rejects it. No. There we go. It's like, put it out. But she did wait, which is probably smarter because, again, right, Donald Trump. It's like, this is election interference on the highest order. It's been never done. It's such a disgrace. So, let's avoid that and let's just release it the day after. A little bit of delayed gratification before having the post-coital cookie. So, the legal team has until the 10th to submit any objections proposed to the redactions on the appendix items. So that's why we don't have everything yet. But if yesterday's drop is explosive, then there is going to be a second kaboom, a second earth-shattering kaboom coming 9 days later. Because the appendices will have like the actual documents and stuff. Like this, there'll be a lot of stuff redacted on those too.
Of course.
But they'll be able to see. So for those of us who wanted a trial before, we're not getting a trial before, but we are getting to see pretty much all the evidence that the special prosecutor has, and it's now all in the public domain, just 30-something days before an election. And it's not like you can actually call it an October surprise because, well, Trump asked for this. Given all his delays, I mean, this could have come out 2 years ago.
Yes. We could have had a trial in March of 2023, I believe.
But he wanted to delay. So it seems that there's one judge out there that is making sure that we have some information, because even the judge in his New York case is pushing his sentencing decision until after the election now, because they too have to reconsider everything in light of this. But judge is like, hey, you want me to consider it? Consider it. Jack Smith, well, you should have all the evidence in front of you in order to decide what's an official act and not an official act, Your Honor. It's like, yes, I guess that would be very helpful, Mr. Smith. Okay, well, I can't fit it all in 45 pages, but could I do it in 180 or so? I think that's the maximum I would need. Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, the Supreme Court did ask me to do this, so I guess I can't be insubordinate. So if it takes 180 pages, I guess I'm going to have to be okay with that to do the job that the Supreme Court, those 6 people in the Supreme Court, asked me to do. So, yeah, granted. Well, there is a public interest.
So unfair. So unfair. Yes, life is fair. Life is so fair. Never has been, never will be.
Black women will save America. It's just, man. So yeah, that kind of happened. So that sounds you may hear might be heads exploding other side of the border for the next few days as they figure out what they're going to do with this, given that all of this is out. So that's why I'm thinking, Mr. Grizzly, maybe we have another reading, because I'm sure this document is going to be very, very interesting. I mean, when we read the one with Tenet, right, we had like commentator 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then business owner 1 and 2. We have like person 1 and 2. there's like person 55 in this one. There's a lot of people.
I think we'll have to do this in a 2 or 3 parter because 186 pages is
Yes,
a couple hours.
but fortunately, like we said, it's 180, it's 165 pages, but half of them are annexes, which we don't have, and which we wouldn't be able to read anyway. Right?
Yeah.
They're mostly images, and then of the 60-something pages, about a third of them are, when you've read an academic sort of document like this, they have that little line. Usually the footnotes are just a little bit on the back, but there are certain pages like where the line for the footnote is like more than half the page up.
That's a big damn footnote.
So yeah, it sounds way more daunting than it actually is. But all those little tidbits, like the one you mentioned about Mike Roman, or what specifically what Donald Trump was doing at that time, right? Because everybody is able to see specifically at 2:36 p.m. what he was doing on his phone specifically at that time, and then they're able to go to Fox News and say at 2:36 p.m. what was flashing on the TV at that exact time when he was in his room texting or tweeting on his phone while watching Fox and probably tweaking his nipples. Sorry for the visual, as it was happening.
Didn't need that.
So you knew he got off on that.
Oh, of course he did.
You know he's got off on that. So, in probably some ways that are very, very concerning and not psychologically healthy, I would venture to say, to put it kindly. But yes, technology is a wonderful thing. So, I didn't do that. Oh, well, let's see. At exactly 2:36, you tweeted this while this was appearing on your screen. So we know absolutely everything that was going on in your world at that particular time. And remember, it wasn't Democrats walking into the Oval Office on that day begging him to stop. So all the testimonies from his fellow Republicans and people who worked for him.
Yeah,
this is not some left-wing conspiracy to get him.
Well, PNC bio, to say it's a well-prepared argument is to understate it. I think he might actually face consequences for the very first time in his life.
It would be really. He has to lose, though. He has to lose, because otherwise he just makes it all go away.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because he's a king.
Yeah, he has to lose. He really has to lose.
Speaking of kings, whoever runs the BC Ferries Twitter account is king. Kim Wakes.
Oh my God. Yes. Let's move on to that. Daniel Smith. So there isn't like one big story. There's just a whole bunch of small little tidbit stuff like this.
Yeah.
I'm sure like the confidence vote stuff and the Trump, the Trump dump thing are going to be like huge stories, but there's a whole bunch of others. Yeah. Little weird stuff. Hold on. But right before we move there though, there was one thing I did want you to show as a video before we do that, because this is Dean who caught this. Apparently, this aired on Fox News yesterday, Kits and Cubs. This is now, remember, Fox News actually does have a news section.
Yes.
That maybe airs like for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That maybe airs for 90 minutes a day. Maybe. I'm not sure how long it airs, but there's definitely no real news after 5 p.m. for sure on Fox. But before that, there is a little bit.
Well, let's just have a look at this.
On a busy news day, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it. Prosecutors right now are offering a redacted version of Special Counsel Jack Smith's filing. That had to be made public today. It was in this newly unsealed court paper. We're learning that former President Trump resorted to crimes in a bid to cling to power after the 2020 election. We don't know much more than that. A lot of this stuff was going to be coming out anyway. We're going to be getting the latest on that and a legal to look at what is being revealed here. And whether it's giving us any information, anything we don't know, the timing of this, of course, a little more than about 5 weeks before the general election. We're on top of that, give you the latest on this. In the meantime, then there's this. And on a busy news.
So you will notice that Fox News didn't say the alleged Trump committed crimes. It just outright said Trump committed crimes on Fox. If I wasn't sitting down, you'd have to pick me up off the floor right now.
Yeah, it was like, wow.
Oh my word. Oh my word. Okay. The other one. God. This is okay. So Daniel Smith. Once again. Tell me you have a leadership review coming without telling me you have a leadership review coming. Is about all I can declare on this one. She has been on a tear, throwing red meat to the base.
Oh boy.
Left, right, and center, like you would not believe. It's almost like she believes she can carve up Albertans. I can say these things in this area now until I secure my leadership, and then once that happens, I can then move on and then go back to Edmonton and Calgary, and then promise them that I will do something to help them fix the situation with the cities. Even though public polling is showing that people in Edmonton and Calgary have already had enough of her and would like her gone. So, which is the other reason for which she is probably really focusing on this wackadoodle stuff to hope that the vote in her leadership review that comes from more rural Alberta will more overwhelmingly be in her favor to help her win.
4.9 million people in Alberta, and you have to understand that over 60% or 65% of the population resides between those two cities. Between Edmonton and Calgary, there's like 65% of the population, and both those cities are like, okay, we gotta get rid of her. So,
and she's got 3 years left.
Yeah,
it seems longer because we forgot that she took over for Kenny before the actual election.
Before she was elected.
Yes, but yeah, she is. She's something. So apparently, she was sitting somewhere, and then was talking about something having to do with chemtrails, which is
a small town hall type meeting she held.
Yeah, which is a the whole chemtrails thing.
Conspiracy theory.
Yes,
Contrails.
I'm not exactly sure what. I mean, I don't actually care about it all that much, but I'm guessing that they're sprinkling stuff into the atmosphere that's raining down on us, and that's all meant to mind control us somehow.
Well, it's meant to mind control us or make us sterile. Now, the sterile one is the one that just slays me. That one. I'm like, oh, right, because let me see if I get this correct. We have a housing shortage. We also have a worker shortage because people in Canada aren't having enough babies. So they want to make us what?
So I'm guessing that this stuff rains down from the sky and then attacks exclusively white people.
Yes, yeah.
To make them sterile, but leaves the rest of us fine.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So that the rest of us can keep on making babies, and therefore the Great Replacement Theory is now working on two fronts, because we're bringing in all the immigrants, and then all of us are procreating with those immigrants. We're having that sex with the asylum seekers, the immigrants, to make more stuff, and then they're sprinkling stuff in the sky to making sure that white people become more sterile, so that we'll only have babies who look like me. We could do worse.
I just can't with this woman, though. Listen to this.
The best I have been able to do is talk to the woman who is responsible for controlling the airspace.
She didn't. She did not have that conversation. That's NAV Canada, and NAV Canada says no. She didn't talk to us.
The woman who
The
is
woman.
responsible. Now, I don't know if she means the woman in Canada or the woman in the United States, but the woman who's responsible for controlling the airspace.
That would be NAV Canada, and nobody spoke to NAV Canada. NAV Canada came out and said as much. So there's the first lie.
And she says no one is allowed to go up and spray anything in the air. We have she's told me, the other person told me that if anyone is doing it, it's the U.S. Department of Defense. And, you know, like I have some limitations in what I can do in my job. I don't know that I would have much power if that is the case, if the U.S. Department of Defense is spraying us. So I will do what I can to investigate, but everywhere I have gone, I have found no evidence that there's any private sector company involved. My environment department's not involved. My airports tell me that they have a record of every single plane that
My airports tell me.
Mm-hmm.
goes up. So I'm kind of dead-ended here. If you have some special lead that you want to give me afterwards, please let me know and I'll track it down.
Okay. Now, the video did not catch this, but according to Katie Teeling, said that the crowd booed in response to this. She says, so the next attendee asks about the chemtrails over Edmonton, which Smith says she's asked the people who control the airspace over Edmonton what the story is. She says that no one is allowed to enter that airspace and spray any chemicals. The crowd boos in response. The next attendee from the Edmonton Centre thanks Smith and the other MLAs for the work they've done for Alberta. He then asks Smith why she isn't fulfilling the quota for asylum seekers when the government has accepted Ukrainians and foreign workers. Quote, why are you rejecting these people and not the Ukrainians? I need a clarification from you to bring back to these people, he says. What makes them different from the Ukrainians unless there's something else prohibiting them? Smith answers that the Ukrainians were not refugees but evacuees because they had money to move to Alberta. She says that Alberta does not have the hotel space to house 28,000 asylum seekers, which is met with applause from the crowd. The majority of the people who used to seek asylum would come across the borders, but now they're coming through the airport, she says. She adds that 60,000 people are expecting to seek asylum in Alberta in the next year. Yes, they're coming through the airports because they have money and documents.
Yeah.
That's how you get to come through airports. It's the same thing in the United States with the Haitian migrants. They're there on a special visa. So in order to get a visa, you need to file documentation.
Yeah.
It's been through an approved process. We know who they are. It's like, we don't know who they are. Yeah, you do know because they got a visa. So in the States, when they're complaining about people overstaying their visa, it's like they're not undocumented and they're not people we don't know anything about, or they don't know anything about in that case, because they obtained a visa. Just that matters. So they arrived on planes. And how do you usually arrive on a plane? They had to do the same things.
I just can't some days, you know.
I know.
I can't even. I'm incapable of even right now.
Yeah. She adds even that the UCP needs to find ways to support newcomers and, quote, genuine asylum seekers like the government did for Ukrainians. The next attendee asks about the nonpartisan nature of municipalities, asking why Bill 20 is necessary when people who run for municipal office aren't meant to be part of a party. Smith answers that transparency is necessary on the municipal level. Quote, when somebody tells you when they run for mayor that they're nonpartisan but then run for the leader of the NDP or table policies that introduced 15-minute cities, that's not fair to constituents. No, when somebody runs for the municipal level because they're nonpartisan, it doesn't mean that they do not have political leanings. They come without a political ideology. It just means that they do their job as a city councillor without favoring a party versus another. They don't decide to approve the new water main pipes if it's a conservative government, but not approve of them if it's a NDP government. That's what nonpartisan means in this case. The next attendee says that people in South Edmonton were promised a hospital that was never delivered. Smith says that Airdrie was feeling the same way, so they built an urgent care center in an old library. Smith says this isn't appropriate. Smith says that they need to prioritize creating a model of an urgent care system that can be easily rolled out in rural centers and places in urgent need of a healthcare center. And then this just goes on. So, but if you want to have a whole accounting of what it is that went on in that town hall meeting, Katie Teeling at Teelingkat, so TEELINGKAT, is where you would go to get that. It is very, very thorough. But with regard to the chemtrails specifically, this is dangerous.
Yes.
This is dangerous because she literally went into a room.
It was a UCP town hall in Edmonton on September 28th.
Yes. In which there are people that believe that there are people sprinkling something in the air specifically designed to make us, and particularly white, good Christian, allegedly, people sterile so that they can be replaced. And she sits there and she says, well, I've talked to everybody in Canada and Alberta, and it's none of my people. Maybe it's the U.S. I'm not sure.
Well, I spoke
with
to
a mic and a camera being recorded saying, hey, it's our number one trading partner and the nation on whom we rely for our defense that is trying to make you sterile. And I'm sorry, because it's coming from someone else. There's nothing I can do about it. It's particularly good for future trade relations. She's a political arsonist.
She's an idiot. She's an idiot. I mean, it's simple as that. She's an idiot.
Could you imagine being the premier? Like, hey, United States, please give us permission to have a pipeline going down southward so that we can continue our typical thing of ripping something out of the earth and then just send it back to you, shipping it to you and buying it back at 3 times the prices while we put our feet on our desk and our hands behind our head and say, gee, what great stewards of the economy we are. So please do that for us, but don't take it personally when we make international headlines by accusing you of trying to make us all sterile with chemtrails.
Well, they're her airports, remember? And it's one woman that controls the skies over Alberta, according to her. So,
I'm wondering if that one woman who controls the skies clears out all the planes from the tarmac so that the guy can go there with his electrical stuff and grab lightning out of the sky with his own hands.
Yeah.
Because I guess they have to coordinate, right?
I just don't.
Because, I mean, what better place to take lightning out of the sky and make it run down a pole than at the airport? You got all that open field.
Could we please?
You just can't have the planes going at that time.
Please stop electing stupid people. Please, I beg of you. I beg of you, Canadians. Get a little bit of information, proper, vetted information when you go to the ballot box, and don't elect the dumbest person on the list.
That must be the real reason why your flight to Puerto Vallarta was delayed, was that guy on the tarmac needing to go get some electricity. These people. Oh my God.
Again, I'm going to say it again for the umpteenth. I couldn't make this up and be taken seriously.
These people are too damn much.
Oh, it's ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous.
Listen, this would be a total laugh riot if it was a movie.
Oh, yeah. But it's not. It's reality. This actually took place.
I know.
In real life, she actually... Scott Moe said he was going to investigate. These are the dumbest people in Canada, and they're in positions of power.
But they're literally feeding them. It's like, yeah. Rather than say, like, no. That's just, listen. Say, you voted for me, right? You trust me, right? Listen to me. There's a lot of terrible, crazy shit going on, but that ain't one of them.
Well,
If you
then you'll have
99, you got 99 problems, but U.S. chemtrail sterilizing you ain't one.
well, then you'll have
Doesn't
them
flow off the tongue
commenting,
though.
well, it took place in the 50s in Manitoba. Cadmium sprayed. Yeah, we know that took place. Yeah, that wasn't a conspiracy theory. That did happen. It was also knowledgeable. Like people knew this happened. It wasn't done clandestinely. It's like, oh,
Yeah, I'm a. It is frightening. I don't know what is more frightening, whether or not that we have people that are well resourced and well financed willing to push that, or whether or not we have so many people open to believing it. Because I just get an image of a whole bunch of like baby chicks in a nest. And Mama Bird, Daniel Smith, is just like coming in and feeding the RFK Jr. earthworm into or brainworm into their mouths. I just don't. I just don't get it.
Canada's birth rate is at a record low. What would it take for Canadians to embrace parenthood? Oh, I don't know. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say
Money,
money. Literally, that's what it's going to take.
hospitals that actually work.
We had a conversation last night at my Scotch and Cigar Club about how, one of the older gentlemen said, people just aren't having enough babies these days, and I go, it's because they can't afford to. And he looked at me and he goes, actually, yeah, you're not being ridiculous. I said, you grew up with a single parent working and a mother that stayed at home, and everybody sitting there, yeah, same, yeah, all of us, yeah. How often do you find that today for a middle class family, a working class family, a working poor family? No, everybody has to work. This is why the $10 a day daycare came into play, because it actually makes it affordable for people to go back to work. But both individuals in a marriage or a couple or a partnership, if the two parents, whether the two moms, two dads, mom and dad, whatever the case may be, they both have to work to keep a roof over their heads and feed the child. And people are going like, it's just too difficult. And I can't. I don't want to sacrifice absolutely every part of my being for this. I understand that. I understand it. It's just, it ain't easy, man. So I don't get mad. Hey, look, here's the other thing too. Somebody who doesn't want to have children, that's their decision. It's none of my damn business. Mr. Jim, examining polyamory because 2 incomes is not enough. So a throuple?
that hippie commune is looking better. It's looking more financially attractive all of a sudden. Kit Saucy, yes. Mothers are exhausted and tired of doing it all. It's impossible. Women are not supported whether we have children or not. Even with $10 a day childcare, there is a stigma or the town doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Indeed. Other things that...
I'll hear from Jen. It was cheaper for me to stay home than put both kids in daycare and work full time.
Well, that's the thing, right? When I used to work at Human Resources Development Canada, it was Chrétien who was the prime minister, and one of his budgets was called the children's budget. That's the one where he brought in the National Child Benefit, which is now the Canada Child Benefit, and they created the National Action Plan for Children, I believe it is, and they had a whole bunch of other things. One of the things, the reason the Canada Child Benefit was created, or at the time the National Child Benefit, was to address this concept that was called the welfare wall, which is exactly what Jen is mentioning here, but as applies to another situation. It's when you are receiving social assistance, right? You receive the health card, you have your dental card, you have all that other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it costs money to work. right? Dry cleaning the clothes if you have to, a suit, or nice clothes to wear for meetings, travel to get there, brown bagging your lunch, or if you're eating out or like this. But you have to get to and from work. You have to eat lunch one day. You have to dress for work. It costs money to work. It's not free. So, and one of the costs of having to work, if it applies to you, is having to put your children in daycare. Well, if it costs you more to work than what you make, why work?
This is the thing.
Right? The first 6 months, right? It's like you lose your dental plan, but you have to be working at the job 3 to 6 months before you get on their dental plan.
Yeah.
If they have one.
If they have one.
Well, if you have one, if those months, right? So all those things you have to cover in the meantime. So it's the same thing. It's like if you have a kid, but it's essentially a second mortgage monthly to have them in childcare, then all you're doing is working to pay the childcare provider. Your life is not improving in any way. So just like there was a welfare wall, there was a childcare wall.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make it worthwhile for people to go to work. That's the value of $10 a day childcare. Now, unfortunately, you have certain premiers, again, trying to sabotage it. In Ontario in particular, Doug Ford is doing a great number. Doug Ford, who says that he's for the little guy, all that kind of stuff. In all the places in Ontario where there is a child care center in an Ontario provincial building, Doug Ford has decided that he is raising the rents astronomically.
Of course
on
he
them.
would.
So thus making them either have to move or making it less profitable to be there. So again, the little guy, the little small business that's operating an independent childcare center trying to make ends meet just saw their costs of operation skyrocket because Doug Ford, the guy that says, we got to build the affordable homes, just raised the rent
Mm-hmm.
on these small businesses specifically. Starting to think he's not your friend.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Kid Christian goes, there's no dental plan for insured veterans. Huh. I would have thought that the veterans program would have come with that. But if it's, as Kit Linda M says, the dental program is supposed to open to everyone in January. So, yep, starting January 1st opens to everyone over between the ages of 18 and 64. It was not, I believe, Kit Christian, you might qualify already. Because if I'm
I don't
not
know.
mistaken, sorry, I don't remember. But if you are someone who is living with a disability, I believe that the dental care program is already there for you. Kid Jen asks, when did dental care become separated from medical care? It always was.
It always was.
It
yeah.
always was, because back in the day, when we were planning to bring in national health care, it was planned that
Mhm.
dental care would be included in there. And at the time, I believe it was, not sure if it was the dentists that did not want to be associated with the
Yes.
doctors or the doctors with the dentists.
Either way, they hated each
But
other.
they hated each other, and they did not believe that there were enough dentists in the country at the time
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that as well, which were two things. But yes, the traditional medical community and the dental community were not friends
No.
at all.
No,
back then.
and as a matter of fact, I've told the story, I think, in the past where the Royal Ottawa Golf and Country Club on the Gatineau side, the Quebec side, towards Aylmer, to be a membership, it was all doctors that formed it originally. And they were looking at, okay, who can we let in? They said, well, just about anybody except no Jews and no dentists. And they're like, why no dentist? One of the surgeons had said, why no dentists?
Hmm.
And well, we don't want them in here. And he goes, they earn more money than we do. We should have them in here. And they're like, nope, no dentists. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, your teeth is the only part of your skeleton you can see while you're alive.
Mm-hmm. teeth are actually, as was it Kid Jen? No, my dogs are goth. Our teeth. Whoops! You just went down from under the screen. Our teeth are bones. They should be covered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, indeed. For the information, it's Canadians that have a disability tax credit certificate. That are so not to, there are many Canadians living with a disability who don't qualify for one of those. Yes, there you go, Mr. Jim. Adults with a valid disability tax credit certificate for 2023 are eligible now. They've been eligible since the month of July. So if you do have one of those, and you are between 18 and 64, you can go now. All right. And then everybody else is starts in 2025 for the dental care program. Thanks for asking the questions, Gits. That's good.
Mhm.
It's good because sometimes we cover stuff and we don't know what specific questions that you have, and sometimes we don't touch on that specific thing. So you bringing it up helps us get you the information, the news you can use, as we say. There we go. What else do we have here? In the United States, the strike from the International Longshoremen Union has started in earnest. They're asking for higher wages and a ban on automating some functions in ports. Similar requests to the port workers in Montreal who've also started strike action. The conventional wisdom is that 1 day shutdown at the ports takes about 3 days from which to recover over there. So, the union there seems to be pretty adamant that they will be staying out until such time as their demands are met. Now, remember, that's all the ports on the East Coast and in the
Right.
Gulf Coast. The ports on the West Coast are still operating in the United States. There was also an emergency debate in the House on the fighting in Lebanon. New Democrat MP Heather McPherson from Edmonton requested the debate, and she said something that we often say on the show during her address. Iranian people are not the Iranian regime. The people of Lebanon are not Hezbollah. The people of Palestine are not Hamas. And the people of Israel are not Netanyahu. And therefore, hopefully, we can take action with this in mind. Whereas Michael Chong from the Conservatives said in the debate, the state of Israel is conducting, the war the state of Israel is conducting against Hamas, against Hezbollah, and against the Islamic Republic of Iran under international humanitarian law is a justifiable war. It is a justifiable war against two terrorist groups and a state that sponsors terror. Israel has a right to prosecute this war under international humanitarian law. MP Chung, I don't believe that anybody is saying that Israel does not, but I think there are a few people that are saying that if we are talking about Israel has the right to prosecute this war under international humanitarian law, it also has a right to prosecute the war according to international humanitarian law. Would be the counter to that, sir. On that front, Iran has now entered the room, launching a whole bunch of a huge strike, which Israel and the United States say that not much happened from.
No. A lot of them were duds, didn't explode on impact, and many more were. The Iron Dome actually did work. I was talking to a buddy about that yesterday who works in that field, and he said, no, the Iron Dome worked because the Iron Dome is over the biggest cities. So most of the things that got through fell in rural areas.
Yeah.
So they didn't do a whole lot of damage in the end.
Yeah. So
the only person who died, by the way, there was one person who died out of all of it. He was a Palestinian who was hit by shrapnel from an exploding bomb.
Well, there you go.
So I'm not laughing about the man dying. I'm like,
just the irony, the absurdity. Yeah. Iran says that the strikes were in retaliation for the Israeli killing of a leader in recent days. Hezbollah and other, in recent days, Iran says more attacks could come if Israel decides to respond. This gives me the impression that, again, this was once one of those things that, we need to react for form, because let's remember, Israel, even though this is the one that they're not claiming responsibility for yet, when Ismail Hayani, I believe it was the first one, was assassinated. Um, he was assassinated in Iran, in Tehran, on Iranian soil. At
Mhm.
that time, Iran said, we will respond at a time of our choosing or something. So there needs to be some type of again, for form, you have to, and for domestic consumption, domestic audience, right? They needed to do that, but it seems that Iran, despite how hard Netanyahu seems to be trying to pull it into this conflict, really seems to not want to be dragged into this conflict. So it's like, yes, we've sent you a barrage of stuff, and well, yep, we consider that's good unless you decide to respond. So that's that typical line is like, we're doing this for form and for public consumption. Please don't respond because we don't want this to escalate. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, now all of a sudden, I mean, we've gone from Israel and Hamas to Israel and Hamas and Hezbollah and Lebanon, and now the Houthis are there, and now the Iranians have come in. So yeah, it would be really, really nice if y'all calm down
A little bit. Just
a bit. Yes, but again, Netanyahu government seems to have other interests and motives, and I find it really disconcerting how casually we've slipped from we must destroy Hamas to we must destroy Hezbollah. And it's like, you guys didn't mention that anywhere between October 7th and a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
and that nobody's saying, hey, wait a minute here. I've yet to hear someone ask the question, but wait a minute. I thought this was supposed to be an operation only to decapitate Hamas. When did this additional objective?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. Ottawa, as we mentioned before, has reserved some airline seats in advance, and our Global Affairs Minister, Melanie Joly, is urging people to take advantage of it before it's too late. She says, if you are offered a seat, please take it. It is time to leave Lebanon now, and please don't go to Lebanon. Jolie says 4,000 Canadians have inquired about flights, but only 200 Canadians left Beirut over the weekend and 200 on Monday. Not sure if there's been an uptick in taking up the Canadian government on that offer in the past few days, but they said that there will be more seats available in the coming days. And of course, with Australia, they have also reserved some cruise ships in case, because as we mentioned in the previous show, when we did the evacuation a few years ago, we realized that overland escape routes were not possible because Lebanon borders only Syria and
Right.
Israel. So
They can't
we
go
can't.
in. Yeah.
Yes, we can't send people like, yes, we'll get you out. Just go through this war zone.
Well, so the way the system works is I say we as in Canada has offered up 900 seats on flights to get people out of there. 300 have accepted. There's 600 who are just no, we're just going to stick around. I'm like, you don't get out now, man. Sorry, the flights ain't happening. It's simple as that. Get out now. We told you. We warned you. We offered a way to get you out. It wasn't for free. You're going to have to repay the flight costs or the transport costs. But the Canadian government will pick up the tab for now. You have to repay it. Get on the plane, get on the boat, get the hell out. No, we're going to stay. Well, then you're on your own because we've told you. That's like, no, I'm sorry. If you stay, that's your decision. You can't come whining to us to say, get us out, when you've been told repeatedly. Kind of like the occupiers in Ottawa were told repeatedly to leave.
And then we were trapped.
No, you weren't. You were told to get out several times. You were given 72 hours notice in writing.
There was even a path opened for you to go.
Yes.
It's like all the other exits are blocked, but this exit is open. So please all funnel out in this direction in an orderly fashion. We were trapped. That's how we got that. I think that's what
Legend in their own
Pat
minds.
King or Barber or one of them like put in their defense near at the end. Like, get them to argue that we were trapped. It's like, girl, you know you weren't trapped. You were having fun at the party and you wanted to be the last one to leave. Let's call it what it is. Hurricane Helene is definitely creating some problems here. Um,
Yeah, it's not good.
yes, there are over, that we know of, over 2 million people that are without power, at least. We're getting close to 200 reported dead. Expecting that number to go to increase a lot because there are certain areas that they are not able to access whatsoever. There are certain places that have no access to food, to water, potable water, running water of any kind. For a lot of people are saying that for that region, it is their version of Katrina. Apparently, it is that bad. And part of that had to do with some of the rain, not having a lot of wind at one point, and the storm system staying over a certain portion of the United States for a while as it just kept raining and raining rather than the clouds keep moving. So they got one heck of a dump. The Republicans accused Harris and Biden of not suspending any activities to handle the situation, which was untrue because candidate Kamala Harris did suspend some campaign activities in order to be able to help. Harris said that she would visit the region when it's no longer a drain on immediate resources and emergency response for her to go, which is the smart thing to do. Said that they have been briefed by FEMA and they've been in contact with the governors of Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Again, also putting the lie to certain claims that they're saying that they've never been in touch with anyone, but they have. Unlike them, Trump already made his way to Georgia to be on the ground, pulling resources away from the early response just so that he could get his photo up. Because they had to close down some roads. Sometimes there's only one road in and out for his motorcade, and to provide personal security, cops had to do that rather than help with search efforts. So once again, I don't care about you so long as I get mine. It seems to be the thing that happens there. In the United States as well, the person, and I don't want to call it an assassination attempt because
it really wasn't
Trump, but the person who seems to have been motivated with a desire to assassinate the former president. And the reason we say this is apparently they found a note from him that was written saying, something like if you find this, then I failed, or I failed you, or something, in terms of trying to take him out, but explicitly saying that his objective was to. So the motive is clear. But like I said, Trump wasn't in range, and the only shots that were fired were by his protective service when they spotted the gun, which frightened the guy who had been camped out in the bushes for about 12 hours to run towards his car and then try to make off, where somebody took a picture of him speeding away, and then with the license plate they were able to find him and then arrest him. And apparently he didn't resist all that much when it came time for the arrest.
Can somebody tell me what's significant about October 3rd? Because I keep seeing stuff online going, it's October 3rd. It's like, what is significant about that?
I don't know off the top of my head. I have
no idea. Somebody in the chat can let me know, because I'm very puzzled right now and I can't seem to find an answer about why people keep talking about it. Is there some sort of October game or surprise or something I'm supposed to know about? Is it a political thing? I don't know. I'm very puzzled.
Okay. So this person was arraigned the other day, and he is facing charges such as making I'm not sure exactly how specifically he's facing 5 charges, including the assassination attempt, gun charges, and assaulting an officer. He is under house arrest with $1 million bond. So yeah, and he pleaded not guilty during his arraignment. So we'll see what happens with that. Sorry, kids and cubs, just throwing in some tidbits, not too much development today on these things because they're just sort of updates as we are going here. Because we had missed 2 days with you live here. With regard to truth and reconciliation, if we're coming back to this topic here, there was a person named there is a person named Laura Arndt who was with the group Survivors Secretariat, and she said that that the day of truth and reconciliation is not, well, let's put it in the overall context of people saying that the day of truth and reconciliation is not a day that we celebrate, but is a day that is observed. As we know the Indigenous community is not a monolith. There are other people in the community who believe that it is indeed a celebration, but a celebration of the fact that despite the systemic attempt to eliminate their language and their culture, Indigenous people are still here. So the Laura Arndt, who works with the group called Survivor Secretariat, said the residential school was indeed intended to destroy us, and they did not succeed. They are urging the federal government to put more money towards finding and releasing historic documents related to residential schools, towards investigating reports of potential unmarked graves. The National Center of Truth and Reconciliation estimates that more than 4,100 students died while attending residential schools. Their names were inscribed in white on a red banner that was circulating through the crowd at the event at which Governor General Mary Simon was attending. And she said specifically, survivors are reaching out to Canadians. They want all Canada to learn from these hard lessons so that they will never be repeated. So hopefully that will indeed materialize and become a reality. All right. Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
Yes, indeed we do, sir.
All right, kids and cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. It makes us very happy when you do. It does. Now, if you would like to make sure you do not miss an episode, you don't have to. Thanks to the Ray Girl, because she sponsored our pod page. If you scan that QR code that just appeared, that will bring you there. Podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. And if you click subscribe there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. You don't even have to go looking for it. Literally. We deliver. Now, if you'd like to help us in other ways, you need to make like Kit Elaine. Where is she? There you go. Have a beyond awesome day, everyone. And remember to smash the button before you leave. So surf yourself on down to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where you will find our buttons, the buttons that our dear and beloved Kit Cassie loves so much. Like, share, subscribe. Please click them. When you do, it adds a little sunshine to our day. So thank you for that. And if you would like to help us in other ways, the QR code that's right by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to our tip jar, the fund that we use to keep this thing going, formerly known as the Hydration Fund.
No, it's the operational fund.
Formerly known as the Hydration Fund. Hey, so how am I going to be kept in the lifestyle, the hot chocolate consuming lifestyle to which I've grown accustomed if it's no longer the Hydration Fund?
Look, when I had an income, it was fun to have this as beer money, but I don't have an income now, so it's keep the Paul out of the poorhouse fund is what it is.
So if you scan that QR code, that brings you right there to our coffee page. That's coffee spelled ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And if you happen to have some coinage that's weighing you down, or, if you're feeling particularly tired today and even those bills are a little heavy, well then, if you just drop them delicately and with a little love into our little piggy bank, well, that earns you our undying and eternal gratitude. It raises your sex appeal 37.2%. It's been proven. It actually does. Mhm, mhm. And plus, you did something good, so you'll have that I did a good thing today glow. It's a good glow.
Mm.
Same. So coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters. If you make a little donation there, we very, very much appreciate it. Of course, it goes to producing the show and ensuring that we cover our costs. So we thank you for your generosity and your encouragement. And if you are not able to contribute financially, please do not worry. Not 1 second more. It is forbidden because the gift of your participation and your attention is the one that we cherish the most. And we like to hear from you. So please write to us. Please write to us. Get saucy. Hydration fund sounds better, and you can still use it to keep you out of the poorhouse. Just say you're very thirsty. Parched. Parched. Water. Water. Sticking Bugs Bunny here. I love you, kits and cubs. Yes. So please donate if you can, but we love to hear from you. TrueNorthEagerBeaver@gmail.com is our email address. Please send us your compliments, your constructive criticism, things that you'd like to see on the show, guests that you would like to see us invite, all of that stuff. It really means a lot to us, kits and cubs. So we appreciate it when you do that. We love your input. And like I said, if you are being critical, please be gentle because we are sensitive creatures. But we do appreciate constructive criticism. We want to know what it is that we can do better to make you happier so that you can get more out of the show. So please do not hesitate whatsoever. And of course, remember the Kits Who Cook hashtag. If you have eaten something yummy or you're cooking something yummy, take a couple of pictures and post it to our Twitter feed with the Kits Who Cook hashtag or send it to us at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. We'd love to see that. Plus, it gives me some ideas for what to make for dinner when I'm all out of ideas. So please help a beaver out. Because democracy is something that you do. We have some provincial elections coming up soon in British Columbia, in Saskatchewan, and in New Brunswick. And in New Brunswick, it seems that it's been announced because the candidate deadline has closed. So the Liberals and the Progressive Conservatives have people registered in all 49 electoral districts. The Green have people in 46, the NDP in 29, the Libertarian Party in 18, the Social Justice Party in 2. And I believe the PNAB, which was, or the PA, the People's Alliance of New Brunswick, PANB, have 13, if I'm not mistaken, registered in there. But there's I think there's 8 or 11 parties total running in the New Brunswick election. So, but yes, the Liberals and the Conservatives appear to be the only ones that are running a full slate. And same thing, I believe that the period may have closed in British Columbia too. I think I saw numbers on that, which hopefully I will be able to bring you tomorrow, kits and cubs, on that, how many seats are running for. But yes, please research your favorite candidates with regard to that. Please find out what their policies are. If there's one that you are particularly supportive of, then please try to volunteer in some way for your candidate of choice or contact your returning office to see if there's a way that you can help with voting day. And I have it here as well. With regard to the BC election, the NDP and the Conservatives are both running 93, the Greens 69 candidates. There are 40 independents. That's a lot, but those are probably a lot of BC United incumbents that are running as candidates under an independent banner. 14 that are unaffiliated, 5 from the Freedom Party, 4 from the Libertarian Party, 3 from the Communist Party, and 2 from the Christian Heritage Party. So there you go. Those are all the parties in the race. So that's the because democracy is something that you do portion. And write those letters, kids. Write those letters. It could be a tough world out there, kids and cubs. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom, please?
You know, I think in the troubled times that we are going through, whether you're currently in a financial bind like me because I have no money coming in, although I did land a job, it's commission only, so it's going to be a little rough for me for a little while. I will survive though because I'm a survivor. But if you're going through something like that, like I am right now, or some sort of struggle, and the weight of the world feels like it's on your shoulders, reach out. Reach out to somebody who cares. Reach out to me if you need to. Join us on Monday evenings for my ASMR. I wasn't able to do one this past Monday because I was actually meeting with some people about some work. But if you need to reach out, I'm here, and the channel is there, and it's available for you to watch whenever you need to, so that if you need some comfort in a tough time, you can join it. You could even scan the code right above my head right now, and that'll take you right to the channel on YouTube. That I know this sounds like shameless self-promotion, but I really am for those who need a little bit of help or a little bit of understanding or just a kindred spirit. I'm here for you.
Okay. I'm noticing here in the chat that it seems that there was a debate in the BC election yesterday on CKNU that somehow completely bypassed me. So I will be listening to that again. But it seems that it might not have gone well for Rustad because I've heard that there was another debate proposed and Rustad does not want to go. We'll see about that. All right, kids and cubs. That's the end for today. Just wanted to address certain kits as well. Some kits had recommended that we try to get journalist Brandy Moran in on the show because she has been reporting lately about a inordinately high number, not that one isn't already too many, of Indigenous people who have been meeting untimely ends at the hands of law enforcement over the past few weeks. When I first heard about it was about like 6 of them in about 2 weeks or less, fewer even. And last I heard it was 8 or 9, which was well over a week ago. So I don't know how many it is now. We have reached out. She is following our feed, but she has not answered our invitation. Now I know that there's been a lot going on with the preparation for the 30th, so she may not have time to have gotten back to us on that. But I will rewrite and let her know that we weren't interested in hearing from her only on Truth and Reconciliation Day, but whenever it is that she will have a moment. And hopefully she will agree to come on our show because we would love to hear from her on that. All right. Mr. Grizzly, please cue the cock.
Okie dokie.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Oops. Have to issue a gentle correction on myself, and I'm glad I get to do it on the show. Sorry, it wasn't Rustad who didn't want to participate in the next debate, even though that debate happened. It's Higgs who decided that does not want to stand. It was the Rogers debate apparently was scheduled to come up afterwards, and he decided, nope.
Not doing it. It's hard to stay in it. Here's a 39-second clip from I think this is from yesterday. I think you'll enjoy this.
Speaker, this campus conservative turned career politician doesn't actually care about Canadians. What he is actually doing is proposing to take money out of the pockets of 8 of the 10 Canadians who do better with the Canada carbon rebate while we fight climate change. He stood against dental care that is delivering for over 800,000 people across this country, something he still says doesn't exist. He's standing against the school food policy that is helping 400,000 kids get better food across the country. He stood against childcare. He has stood against affordability measures.
Prime Minister had a little trouble getting the words out there on that one, but yeah, we knew where he was going. By the way, for if you're living in New Brunswick, that Rogers debate is scheduled for October 9th. I haven't heard that they are canceling it. But often in this case, debate people will cancel the debate if like the main party is not there. I hope they don't do this time and just allow the debate to keep going. Kit Jim, have we heard from Kit Pete, from Aussie Pete lately? Yes, we have. He's taking some personal time. So just for that. But yes,
I was just thinking about him the other day, actually.
Yeah, I've heard from him a couple of days ago. Yes.
Okay, good.
All right, kids and cubs. Have a wonderful day. Have a beeferific day.
I'll see you.